So Telefilm Canada, in terms of our feature film involvement, we have a motto, which is Canadian talent, making Canadian content that engages Canadians and the world. So we're all about Canadian talent, we're all about building audiences, and we're all about building talent. Artistic achievement is very important to us, and we spend a lot of time, especially in the regional offices, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, and Halifax, spend a lot of time building new talent.
And tell me a bit, just introduce yourself and tell me a bit about your role at Telefilm.
Okay, well, I'm Dan Lyon, and I'm the regional feature film executive for Ontario and Nunavut. I come to Telefilm from primarily a distribution and executive producing background, going back to about 1985. And at Telefilm, my key role is to encourage talent to review projects together with my team and to ultimately greenlight the best possible projects, not only for our regional development and production, but also to feed in what we call our national production stream, which are the higher budget films that are expected to perform very well at the box office.
What are some of the criteria you use when you're evaluating a script?
Well, one thing we look for when we're evaluating a script is who is the audience. And for that reason, I like to encourage producers and the creative team to come up with what I call a positioning statement, which looks at who the target audience is, what other films have been released in the marketplace that have done well and appealed to a similar audience, and what means do they think it would take, and how much money do they think it would take in order to get this out into the marketplace. At the later stages of development, and in particular what we call packaging, which is the last stage before a production decision, it's really crucial to get a distributor on board. And at that point, we turn to the distributor and we say, how much money do you think it's going to take to get this thing out? Who's your target audience? Make sure that the distributor really believes in the product. At earlier stages, we look very carefully at the creative. So we're looking at the quality, we're looking at the skill involved, as well as the audience appeal.
You mentioned part of Telefilm's mandate is to promote Canadian films, Canadian content. What is a distinctively Canadian film?
Distinctively Canadian film would be, there's a famous US judge that was talking about pornography, and he said he can't define it, but he knows it when he sees it. We might say the same thing about a distinctively Canadian film, because it's easy to see how Trailer Park Boys, for example, or the Trailer Park Boys 2, the sequel, are distinctively Canadian. That's at one end of the spectrum. At another end of the spectrum, we have a film like Passchendaele, which is a film about a World War I Canadian soldier. Very Canadian film. However, there are films that are distinctively Canadian without necessarily even being set in Canada. So a film like Water, for example, or Amal are films that have a Canadian sensibility. In other words, the writer and the director of those films are bringing their own experience to the table to say something unique about subject matter which may or may not have anything to do directly with the experience in Canada.